ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Dear friends, we are reading this mantra Pratibodha Viditam Matam Amrutatvam Hi Vindate. That particular mantra we are reading, that is the fourth mantra of the second part of Kenopanishad. And we have almost completed a lot of Bhashyam. And we are in this paragraph, Yat Punaha Pratibodha Shabdena Nirnimitto Bodha Pratibodha. We are in that paragraph. We first saw how Shankaracharya explained that word Pratibodha Viditam. Pratibodha Viditam is a samasa, as I said, it is a compound. That is, Bodham Bodham Pati, in every Bodha, you have to cognize Brahma. That is, Brahman is the Pratyagatma, that is the soul, that is the essence of every cognition. So that is what he said, Pratyaya Pratyagatmataya Viditam Brahma. So that is what he said. Pratyaya means Bodha. Bodha Pratyaya Pratyagatmataya means you have to know it as the very inner self of every cognition. So that is how Shankaracharya explained. Then he refuted the arguments of the logicians, Bodha, Kriya, Karta, etc. Then he also refuted the other argument of the Skanadas, that is Atma Manas Sanyogajaha Bodhaha. That argument also was refuted, saying that there would be so many defects in that particular argument. Then again he also refuted the argument of the Swasamvedyata. Swasamvedyata is possible in certain specified situations. Possible in the sense, Swasamvedyata is also talked of in the Shrutis, say by sentences like Atmanyeva Atmanam Pashyet, Dhyanena Atmani Vindanti Kechid Atmanam Atmana. So through Atma you have to know Atma. So that sort of situation is in the sadhana dasha, where you make a sort of artificial distinction between the Atma which knows and the Atma which is known. So Buddhi, our intellect, is tentatively called Atma in such a situation, because only through this Buddhi you have to lead all these vrittis, all these Buddhi vrittis you have to lead only through this medium. So without this medium electricity cannot pass. So this copper wire or something like that has to be there. So the Buddhi is like that copper wire. So you have to use this medium in order to catch, in order to understand the nature of that, the Pratyagatma, the inner self of it. So tentatively you are calling this as Atma. So Atmanam Atmana Vindate. So that is what tentatively we agreed. So that is regarding this Swasamvedyata. Then again he also refuted this Bauddha Paksha. With this Bauddha Paksha, if you agree to their argument, then Atma will be something which is Kshanikam, non-eternal, ephemeral, etc., etc. Then we are in this context where somebody is saying that Pratibodha is not, you forget about all other definitions. We are saying that Pratibodha is something which is waking up. Pratibodha Suptaha Purushaha Anyera Pratibudhyate. Okay, Pratibodhitaha also. Pratibodhitaha or Pratibudhyate. So it doesn't matter. So a person who is sleeping, he is woken up by somebody else. So Ajnane Suptaha Purushaha Guruna Pratibodhitaha. So that is how it can be taken. So that sort of definition also is possible. And then of course Nirnimitto Bodhaha, that is in some rare cases like some Shuka, Vamadeva, etc., who have become jnanis by birth. There is no particular nimitta. They have become jnanis. That is because of their sanchita, this karma, whatever the earlier karma which has been done in their past lives, that has materialized, or rather that has come to fruition in this particular birth, and so they have become jnanis. So that is one thing. Sakrut Vijnanam Pratibodha Ityapare. Suddenly this Vijnanam comes like a flash. That is what they say. So Shankaracharya said, whether you call it Nirnimitta or Sanimitta or Sakrut or Sakrut, whatever it is Pratibodha. You call it awakening also, it is awakening. Okay, admitted that it is awakening. But then, what is the process which is there? The process is, that is, you are knowing every cognition as the Brahma and not as an object. When you are looking at the world, you are looking at the world as a manifestation of the Brahman only and not as trees, rocks, etc. So that is what Shankaracharya says. Whatever you may say, say what is it? Nirnimittaha, sanimittaha va, pratibodha eva hi saha. You have to agree that it is pratibodha only. It is a question of waking up from one type of perspective to another type of perspective. So you are having a particular outlook towards things. Your outlook is changed not by mere intellectual understanding. Of course, we are forgetting a very, very important point here. That is a mere intellectual understanding that this behind every cognition there is this consciousness only. By mere intellectual admission, we are not becoming jnanis. That drishti will not come. That drishti will be there for a fleeting moment. So this awareness will be there. Only your mind is already prepared. Only your mind is already prepared through that sadhana chatushtaya, where you have got the shama, the shatka, sampatti. All that sampatti is there, shama, dama, titiksha and all those things. Vairagya first of all, vairagya, mumukshutvam, dispassion from all those things. When you are having a passion for a particular thing, how can you look at it as Brahma? You are looking at somebody and then you are passionate about that person. So when you are passionate about that person, how can you look at that person as a Brahma? So that is the problem. So the mind has to be, first of all, it has to undergo a sort of modification. And that modification is through this process of tapas, yoga, etc., etc. All that modification has to undergo, and then only it can have this particular vision. Intellectual understanding or admitting tentatively at an intellectual level is not jnana. Your mind should be totally, it should have developed vairagya, and only with that frame of mind you can understand this. You can have that nishtha. Nishtha means nishchayena avasthanam. You can stay in that stability. Nishtha is stability in that particular position. You will have that stability only when the mind is purified. Otherwise, the mind will be wavering. Tentatively, you agree that okay, you are a Brahman, I am a Brahman. Let's enjoy. Let us have some good time. So that is not jnana. So anyway, that is an important point which we have to remember. That is what we saw in an earlier phrase called Atmani avasthanam. Atmani avasthanam. That is abiding in one's own self. What is that abiding one's own self? One's own self, the real nature, he should be constantly aware of it. So for that, he should have enough vairagya. He should have developed enough vairagya. So that background we should never forget. So then, amrutatvam amarana bhavam. Swatmani avasthanam. Yes, this point we read in the last class. Swatmani avasthanam. Abiding in that unchanging consciousness. This is my real nature. Abiding in that awareness. So that is moksham. Hi yasmat vindate labhate yathoktat pratibodhat amrutatvam vindate. So he attains, the person who attains that this particular awareness, the person who is able to reach this particular awareness, he attains amrutatva. So it is like saying, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You know the English word saying, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Suppose somebody prepares some nice food item. If it is really nice, people will eat it. If nobody has eaten it, obviously it is not so good. So that is it, isn't it? So that is what we have to say. We are saying in this mantra, the pratibodha viditam matam. You are admitting that this is the right understanding. Why? Because by such knowledge, he is attaining amrutatva. So that is it. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. That is how I am applying that. You are saying that pratibodha viditam is the right understanding. You say that is the right understanding when a person knows that this consciousness is the pratyagatma of every pratibodha, of every bodha. So that is the right understanding. Why? The question comes, why? Because Amrutatvam he means Yasmat, because such a person having such knowledge or such understanding, Amrutatvam Vindate, he attains that immortality. And what is that immortality and how? That is being told in the third line and fourth line. The third pada rather, the second line, third pada and fourth pada, we are going to read that. So, the Amrutatvam Amarana Bhavam, what is that Amarana Bhavam? Swatmani Avasthanam. Realizing that I am not this body-mind complex, realizing that I am not this delimited person with so many identities which the society has given to me, but I am this unchanging consciousness, I am this undying consciousness. That awareness is Amrutatvam. So, that is the point here. Moksham hi yasmad vindate labhate yathoktat pratibodhat. What is that? By the pratibodha which has been told above. Yathoktat means yatha uktam, that which has been told above. Pratibodhat. And what is that pratibodha? Pratibodha viditatmakatvat. Pratibodha viditatmakatvat means that is, it is known as, its Atma is known in every bodha. Its Atma, or it is known as Atma in every bodha. It is known as the self of every bodha. So that is it. Then tasmat pratibodha viditameva matam ityabhiprayah. So this is the right understanding. So that is the meaning here. Then I think we read up to this point. Then let us read bodhasya hi pratyagatma vishayatvam cha vishayam vishayatvam, it's okay. Matam amrutatve hetuhu. So bodhasya pratyagatma vishayatvam. This language is rather complicated, but otherwise the meaning is like this. Bodha, when you are having a cognition of an object, that cognition should not be Vishaya Vishayakam. This Shastra Bhasha, the Shankaracharya at times he uses Shastra Paribhasha not to confuse us, but to reply to his contemporaries, because his contemporaries are well versed in logic and all these theories and all their arguments. So Shankaracharya has to reply to their arguments. So that is the reason why he uses some language which of course is not understood by us now, and we feel Shankaracharya has made it complicated or something like that. But we have to understand that Shankaracharya is answering to his contemporaries. He is if I am telling now, I am telling in contemporary terms. So Shankaracharya was telling in his contemporary terms. So we are some small descendants of that Shankaracharya now, trying to understand the present context and trying to relate what is there to the present context. So Shankaracharya was relating this Upanishad Vakya to his contemporary context. So pratyagatma vishayatvam means when a cognition is there, it should not be Vishaya Vishayakam, he says. That is, you should not see the Vishaya, you should not see the object. Whereas it should be Pratyagatma Vishayakam. You have to see the Pratyagatma. You have to see the self, the underlying self, which is that consciousness, Sat and Chit. So that you have to see. So that is why it is that is when it can be called Pratyagatma Vishayakam or Pratyagatma Vishayatvam. So bodhasya Pratyagatma Vishayatvam cha matam means it is agreed, understood as Amrutatve Hetuhu. That is the Hetu, that is the reason, that is the cause for immortality. So when you realize that when you look at something, you are not looking at it as a Vishaya, you are looking at it as the inner, you are looking at the inner self, not the Vishaya. That is it. Then nahi Atmanaha Anatmatvam Amrutatvam Bhavati. Oh, there is another word, Atmanaha also is there. You read the full line?
Nahi Atmanaha Anatmatvat actually.
Anatmatvat. Oh.
Amrutatvam Atmanaha bhavati.
Okay, in a slightly different way it is said. The meaning here is, you should not look at Atma as Anatma. If you look at Atma as Anatma, it will not give you Amrutatva. If you look at Atma as Atma, it will give you Amrutatva. If you look at Atma as Anatma, it will not give you Amrutatva. So that is the meaning here. You look at Atma as that particular consciousness and not as something as an object. You should not look at yourself also. When you look at yourself, we talk about two words, that is Atma and Anatma. What is Atma and what is Anatma? First of all, let us see what is Anatma. What is not me? What is not me? If you see, suppose I think about my family, my wife, children, friends, parents and all these things, and then my material acquisitions, my house, my property, this, that, etc. It is all mine, not me. Me means I only. That is all mine. Aham and mama, that is all mine. Then I do some punya karma, I do some yajna, I do some yaga, I acquire some punya. It is not me, it is mine, it is my possession. It is something like a bank balance which I have. I have some bank balance which is there, I can draw anytime. Then this bank balance is something which I can't draw anytime. Only after the life is over, then probably I have to go to some heavenly place, and then there may be some damsel waiting there. So that is the picture of my punya. That is the picture of all the positive merit which I keep in my bank balance, isn't it? So that is mine. That again is not me. That is again Anatma. So this is something which is rather surprising to us. You see, if you say, suppose somebody says, okay, this property is not me, this wife is not me, children is not me, etc., etc. To that extent it is okay. But people are not prepared to agree. Okay, I have been doing all these bhajans every from morning till night. I have been doing pujas from morning till night. I have done so many yajnas. So all this thing, it is okay. But Vedanta says it is good. We are not dismissing it. It is good, but then that is not Anatma. That will not answer Mrityu. Mrityu will only ask one question: do you know Atma or not? So if you know Atma, then you are okay. If you do not know Atma, and then if you are there only in this dharma, religion level, that religion level is only leading you to heaven. Religion is only leading you to heaven, but not to knowledge of self. So religion again is what? You are going to heaven, then again coming back, then again you do some karma, you may do some punya karma, you may not do some punya karma, it again depends. So it again is, you are in that cycle. You have not gone out of the cycle of samsara. So that is why all that is Anatma. You do punya karyams, you build temples, you donate some diamond, say crown to Lord Venkateshwara, all that, it is Anatma. What all punyam you get is Anatma. You may get some nice time, you may have some nice time in a heaven. Like you go to some Switzerland or some place, or go to some casino, something like that, but that is not Atma, that is not self. So that is what he says, Nahi Atmanaha Anatmatvam Amrutatvam Bhavati. That is, if you look at Atma as Anatma, it will not lead you to Amrutatvam. It will not lead you to immortality. Then Atmatvad Atmano Amrutatvam Nirnimittameva Evam Martyatvam Atmanaha Yad Avidyaya Anatmatva Pratipattihi. So the first line is Atmatvat Atmanaha Amrutatvam Nirnimittameva. Because this Amrutatvam is the very self of Atma. You see, first of all, you have to realize that Amrutatvam is the very self. It is not something which is Agantukam. Agantukam means something which has come by doing an act. It is not by Punya Karma it has come. It is not by something else it has come. It is not by money. See, we have got these 4 Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. We are now in this Moksha Purushartha. There are other Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha and Kama. Kama is my house, my property, my wife, my children, etc., etc. Artha, I acquire more wealth, I acquire a position in life, I acquire some status, I may be something, whatever it is. Then I also do lot many yajnas, yagas and whatnot. So that is Dharma Purushartha. All these things, they do not give this, say, knowledge of the self. This Punya Karma done with an Ishwararpana Buddhi can give you some Chitta Shuddhi. It basically prepares the mind, that's all. It is like cleaning a mirror. But then the light again has to fall. The light again has to fall, and then you have to do this Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. That is what is that falling of light. So this Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana you have to do after you attain that Chitta Shuddhi. Then only it will lead you to this knowledge of the self. So this knowledge of the self is something, this Amrutatvam is something which is built in. It is there in the Atman. It is not Agantukam. So it is Nirnimittam. It can be, it is Nirnimittam eva. It is the very self. Then, evam, in this manner, Martyatvam Atmanaha Yad Avidyaya Anatmatva Pratipattihi. Then the question arises, then why? Why is everybody worried about death? Why is everyone bothered about, why is so afraid of death? This Martyatvam. Martyatvam means that the state of having death. Martya means mortal. Martyatvam, the status of being a mortal. So that is Martyatvam. So that is that thing for Atma. Atmanaha Martyatvam. That is this sort of predicament for this Atman, that it is going to die. How has this come? Yat avidyaya anatmatva pratipattihi. Because of this primordial ignorance which you are inheriting over so many hundreds and hundreds of births and deaths, this series of births and deaths, we have inherited this ajnana, and because of that ajnana, there is a built-in mechanism to look outside. There is a built-in mechanism. The moment you are born, you are looking at the external world only, and the parents also will teach you, okay, this is your pen, this is your book, this is mine, this is yours. So that ego is built up in the very system. And then your identity is built up in the system. You are a Brahmin, you are a Hindu, you are this, you are that, you are an Indian, and all this system, this identity is built up. So in fact, in some earlier class also I told you, maybe Gita class or something, there is a French writer called Rousseau. He says, a man is born free, but everywhere he is bound in chains. So it's a very famous statement of Rousseau. That social contract, his idea of social contract, etc. So you are born free. That is the same thing. It is actually an Upanishadic statement. Say under the influence of some say the Upanishadic thinking only, he must have said that. So the man is something which is of the nature of that consciousness only. And then you are having so many bonds, you have created so many identities, and then you are looking at things in a particular perspective. All this is due to avidya. Avidya is ignorance. It is not total lack of knowledge. There is knowledge, but this knowledge is something which is totally wrong. You are not that you are totally ignorant. You are having a lot of knowledge, but this knowledge is not the answer for this mrityu. This knowledge is not the answer for mrityu, whereas you are thinking, say, what is actually death as life. Mrityu is what is there, what you are thinking of, and that is actually you are thinking of it as life. In fact, there is an American poet who talks about, American poet named T.S. Eliot. I think I told this also in some earlier class. He talks about death in life and life in death. So death in life, what you call life is actually death. And that what you say, of course, we are not sure whether he was talking about the self-realization or not, because we do not know, because Eliot was also a person who was influenced by the Vedanta. Eliot, American poet, his friend, another English poet called Yeats, they were both influenced by the Vedanta philosophy. So it is quite possible that he had something like this in mind when he talked about death in life and life in death. So here, you see this Martyatvam Atmanaha, this death in life situation is because of ignorance. It is because of ignorance only. So that avidyaya anatmatva pratipattihi. Pratipatti means jnanam. So that is looking at Atma as Anatma. Anatmatva pratipatti means looking at Atma as Anatma. So that is what is the reason for this Martyatva, for this situation of death. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, then Katham punaha yathoktaya atmavidyaya amrutatvam vindate ityataha aha. So the question again, Katham punaha, how then? Yathoktaya Atma Vidyaya. By this Atma Vidya which has been told above. Atma Vidya means the same thing. That is knowing the Pratyaga, knowing every cognition, the Pratyagatma of every cognition. So that is Atma Vidya. That is, you are having so much, you are getting so much of, cognitions through all these senses. But then you are aware of yourself as that pure awareness, pure consciousness. So that is what he says. Yathoktaya Atma Vidyaya. How Amrutatvam Vindate Ityataha. Then Atmana Svena Rupena.
Atmana Svena Rupena.
Vindate Labhate.
Vindate Labhate.
Viryam Balam Samarthyam.
Viryam Balam Samarthyam.
So, okay. Atmana Svena Rupena. That is the same thing which we earlier saw. Swatmani Avasthanam. That is abiding in oneself. Atmana Svena Rupena. By knowing your own Rupa. By knowing your own Rupa. What is that your own Rupa? Just Sat and Chit. Sat, Chit and Ananda. We frequently talk about dismissing this Nama Rupa, removing all this Nama Rupa, stay as this Sat, Chit and Ananda Swarupa. So that is what is called Svena Rupena, in your own nature. So abide in your own nature. Atmana Svena Rupena, Vindate Labhate. Vindate means Labhate, he attains. What? Viryam Balam Samarthyam. These are all synonymously used by Shankaracharya. Viryam. Viryam is strength. Viryam actually means strength. Balam also is strength. Samarthyam also is strength. Okay, you use any things. But then these words we have to see the connotations elsewhere. What is Balam? You see, daily in Sandhyavandan also, you also invoke that Balam. There is a mantra. Balamava Hayami. What is that Balam? And then there is another line in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Balyena tishtaset. What is that? Pandityam nirmidya. Tasmad brahmanaha pandityam nirvidya. Balyena tishtaset. Atha munihi. There is something. Balya. What is that Balya there? Balya does not mean childhood. Of course, Shankaracharya has given the second meaning also. That is innocence and all those things which are characteristics of childlike attitude. And a Jnani is a totally childlike person. A Jnani is not a crook. He cannot become a crook. He is a childlike person. So that is that Balyena Tishtase. That thing also is there. That is again an outcome of that. But then Balyam is strength. Balasya bhavaha. That is Bali. Bali, one who has Balam is Bali. So Balyena Tishtaset, he has to be strongly fixed in that manana. He has to be very firmly established in that manana. And that is what is Nididhyasana. So that is the context there. Balyena Tishtaset. So one has to have that strength of that knowledge. This Atma Jnana is going to give you that strength. So that Balyena Tishtaset, there it is, it refers to that stability in Atma Jnana. So that Viryam, Balam, Samarthyam. So this Atma Jnana will give you this Balam, Viryam, Samarthyam. Then he says, all other things are not going to give you that Balam. All other things he says, like, let us read, Dhana Sahaya, Mantra Oshadhi, Tapo Yogakrutam Viryam, Mrutyum na shaknoti abhibhavitum. Okay. He says, and also, Anitya Vastu Krutatvat. Okay. So, all these words all these things are Anitya Vastus. Anitya Vastu means ephemeral things. Anitya is ephemeral. Anitya Vastu, ephemeral thing. Anitya Vastu Krutatvat means because it has been achieved by an Anitya Vastu. Because you are trying to achieve that Viryam, Balam, Samarthyam, that strength by some Anitya Vastu, it is not going to answer death. What are those Anitya Vastus? He is saying Dhanam. Okay, you are having a lot of Dhanam and you do lot of charitable activities. You donate gold, crown to some lord and some other diamond crown to some other lord, whatever it is. So that is what is Dhanam. You can't earn this strength by Dhanam. After all, people who make large donations, actually they may be inspired by timidness also. Of course, we can't ridicule them always. A person may be genuinely devoted, but quite often we see all our contractors, all our people who loot public money, they go and give some huge donations to these temples. Why? Because of the fear. Because of fear that they might go to hell. They will be again questioned by God. So they want to make God also a partner in their corruption. So that is what is the problem. So of course we are not dismissing all people like that. There may be some genuinely devoted, charitable people. But anyway, this dhana is something which is impermanent. Sahaya. Sahaya means various accessories. Sahaya are something which help. That is, what are these accessories? Here, of course, Shankaracharya seems to be referring to this yajna, yaga, etc., where there is a lot of activity there. Dhana, sahaya, otherwise it has no meaning. It can't have any other meaning. All these rituals, for example, rituals, yajnas and all that. Then mantra, oshadhi, mantra. Suppose you are only doing some mantra japa without bothering for knowledge of self. Mantra japa will lead you, mantra japa and all these things, they may lead you to a particular limited object. But again, that particular object is not Atma. You go to some particular loka, you do some say mantra japa, and then what do you attain by that? Okay, you will attain that particular loka of a particular god. Loka means a particular status. And then from there, after some time you have to come back, isn't it? So that is it. Mantra. Oshadhi. Oshadhi means some type of mulika or something. Maybe we do not know why Shankaracharya used this word. Oshadhi. Oshadhi actually means all these things like medicines and all these things. They are oshadhis. Maybe Shankara, at that time we do not know whether there was some other vada. For example, there was a vada called Rasavada. Rasavada is, rasa means mercury. Rasa is mercury. In those days, in olden days, there was a particular system which placed a lot of importance on this rasa, this mercury. And then this rasavada, through these say processes, by using these medicines, etc., etc., you will reach some higher status. So some such vada was also there. Rasavada. We are not sure as to what Shankaracharya is referring here, but then I feel that it is referring to this Rasavada, Rasa Siddhanta, etc. Not the Rasa Siddhanta used by the rhetoricians in Alankara Shastra. Alankara Shastra, that is poetics, that is different. That Rasa, Shrungara, Veera, Karuna, etc., they are different rasas. What I am referring to is the physical rasa, the physical Padarasa we say, that is mercury. So this Sahaya, Mantra, Oshadhi, then Tapas, Tapo, Yoga, Krutam. Tapas also, what is the result of tapas? Unless the tapas is about Atma Vidya. Tapas is, what is tapas? That is, there are two meanings for this root tapas. Tapa means heating up something. Tapayati, Surya tapati. Then tapa alochane, thinking, meditate, that deliberating on the nature of Atma is tapas. Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva, Taittiriya Upanishad says, you know this Brahman by tapas, by deliberation, by Atma Vichara. Tapa means Vichara. But then, here, it is not Atma Vichara, it is something about some other thing, some other tapas. Maybe some physical austerity, he has all these austerities he has undergone. Say maybe worshipping some god or maybe for some other reason. Then yoga. Yoga also you may attain a chitta samadhi. But then that samadhi without Atma Vichara is of no use. You will reach that samadhi, and then once you are back from that samadhi, you are back into the world. You are back into the world with all these diversities, and then you don't have that vision of unity. First of all, Atma Jnana is going to give you that vision of unity. That unity in the whole universe. You are seeing Atman everywhere. That vision is not achieved by tapas or by yoga. Tapas again is an individual activity for a personal benefit. Yoga, okay, it is a temporary dulling of the mind. You are just dulling the mind, something like dulling of it is similar to dulling of the mind. It is not exactly dulling there, but then you are achieving some type of say vritti nirodha, dismissing all these vrittis, and then you are attaining some particular type of stillness. But then thereafter, back into the world. So your outlook has not changed. Your outlook towards the world has not changed. Your attitude to the world has not changed. So that is it. Tapo yogakrutam viryam mrutyum na shaknoti abhibhavitum. It is not capable of answering this mrutyu. Abhibhavitum means to vanquish. Abhibhava means to defeat. Abhibhava. Abhibhavitum na shaknoti means it cannot defeat. It cannot defeat that mrutyu. Why? Anitya vastu krutatvat. All these things, this dhana, sahaya, mantra, oshadhi, tapo, yoga krutam viryam to anitya vastu krutam. All these things are anitya vastus, impermanent, ephemeral things. So the type of virya, the type of strength you are acquiring from these things, it may be good enough to lead you to heaven, but not good enough to overcome this situation called martyatva, that is death. That is, all said and done, you are in that cycle of birth and death only. You have not conquered that situation, that question of the Mrityu Devata. Mrityu Devata has only one question, whether you know Atma or not. So, what all punyam you have done, it is immaterial for him. So here, na shaknoti mrityum abhibhavitum. It is just not capable of defeating this mrityu. Then Atma Vidya Krutam tu Viryam.
Atma Vidya Krutam tu Viryam.
Atmanaiva Vindate.
Atmanaiva Vindate.
Atmanaiva Vindate.
Atmanaiva Vindate.
Nanyena Ityataha.
Nanyena Ityataha.
Ananya Sadhanatvat.
Ananya Sadhanatvat.
Atma Vidya Viryasya.
Atma Vidya Viryasya.
Tadeva Viryam.
Tadeva Viryam.
Mrutyum Shaknoti Abhibhavitum.
Mrutyum Shaknoti Abhibhavitum.
Okay. So on the other hand, so Atma Vidya Krutam tu is on the other hand, this Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam, this Viryam, this strength, this stability in say thinking which has been acquired or which has been achieved by this Atma Vidya, by this Atma Vichara, that is Atmanaiva Vindate. Atmanaiva means Atmana Eva Vindate. By this Atman only it is known, because Buddhi again is a medium. Buddhi, you remember this copper wire, is an upadhi. This copper wire or ayahpinda, that is iron ball, whatever it is. And then that is only capable, that is a medium. That upadhi has to be there. So, Atmanaiva Vindati, through this upadhi, you are attaining the real Atma. Then, na anyena, not by anything else. You have to use this upadhi only, you have to turn inward and then know. As long as you turn outward, you will not know this. Only when you turn inward, you will know this. So that is turning inward again has to be done only through buddhi only. This buddhi is something like a partition. You are looking out through the partition instead of looking out through the partition, looking inside. So that is the point. So this Atmanaiva Vindate, Atmanaiva Vindate, na anyena, not by anything else. Ataha Ananya Sadhanatvat. This Atma Vidya is not achieved by anything else. Ananya Sadhanatvat. There is no Anya Sadhana. There is no other means. It is not achieved by any other means. Ananya Sadhanatvat. Atma Vidya Viryasya. Atma Vidya Viryasya means Atma Vidya Viryaha. One who is having this Viryam called Atma Vidya. So one who is strong enough by this Atma Vidya, for him, Tadeva Viryam, that particular Viryam, Mrutyum Shaknoti Abhibhavitum. It is capable of vanquishing, it is capable of defeating Mrutyu. Then, Yata Evam, Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam, Atmanaiva Vindate, Ataha, Vidyaya Atma Vishayaya, Vindate Amrutam. Okay. So he is coming to the last pada. Atmana Vindate Viryam. That has been explained now. Atmana means by one's own self. Viryam, this strength has been achieved, attained. Atmana Vindate Viryam. That we saw till now. Then Vidyaya Vindate Amrutam. Then that Vidya. Then he says, he is explaining this particular last line. Yata evam, because of this, Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam Atmanaiva Vindate. So this only through this Atma, this strength is achieved. Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam. That is, this Viryam, this strength which is given by this Atma Vidya has to be achieved only through the self. Isn't it? So that is how Viryam Atmanaiva Vindate. Ataha, therefore, Vidyaya Atma Vishayaya Vindate Amrutam. So through this Vidya, what type of Vidya? Atma Vishaya Vidya. Vidyaya Atma Vishayaya. By this Vidya, by this knowledge relating to Atman, Vindate Amrutam Amrutatvam. He attains that Amrutatvam. How? That is, he realizes that this body-mind complex is not me. The basic point here is to realize that the body-mind complex is not me. Again, going back to the second Adhyaya of Gita, what was told to Gita in the second, told to Arjuna in the very opening words by Shri Krishna was, what is that? Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Nachainam Kledayanti Apo, etc., all those shlokas. That is it. So, that awareness, if it is, how can that awareness come? That awareness can come only by Atma Vichara. That is, dismissing your body-mind complex as yourself, dismissing all your identities, dismissing various other identities, and abiding in your real nature that you are that Sat and Chit. So that is only this solution for this Mrityu and not anything else. So that is what he says. Yataevam avidya Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam Atmana eva Vindate. Because this Viryam, that is strength, which is achievable by this Atma Vidya, can be achieved only through Atma. Therefore, Ataha Vidyaya Atma Vishayaya, by this Vidya Vindate Amrutam. So he becomes immortal. So this last line is that Vidyaya Vindate Amrutam. What type of Vidya? Atma Vidyaya. And what does it give? That gives Viryam, that gives strength. And then because of that, he attains this immortality, Amrutatvam. Then he also quotes another line, Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhyaha Ityatharvane Ataha Samartho Hetuhu Amrutatvam hi Vindate iti. Okay. So this line from Atharvana means the Upanishad belonging to Atharvana Veda is Atharvana Veda. Atharvana means something relating to Atharvana is Atharvana. Atharvana means this Upanishad relating to Atharvana Veda. What is that Upanishad? Mundaka Upanishad. What does it say? Na ayam Atma balahinena labhyaha. This Atma cannot be attained by a weak-minded person. Balahinena. And what is this weak mind and strong mind? This is a more simpler statement. Balahinena. A weak-minded statement. A weak-minded person cannot attain this Atma. What is this weak-mindedness and strong-mindedness? This strong-mindedness again is, what is this Viryam which we saw earlier? Atmana Svena Rupena Vindate Labhate Viryam. So this Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam. So that is the Balam. Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam. This Atma Vichara has given you so much of strength. You don't care for the Prime Minister, you don't care for the President of the United States, you don't care for anybody else. So this Atma Vidya gives you so much of strength that suppose somebody says, okay, the Prime Minister is calling you, you will say, I am not bothered. You are more interested in your, Atma Vichara than all these things. So that is Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam relates to that. So Atma Vidya Krutam Viryam na ayam Atma balahinena labhyaha. That is, this Atma cannot be attained by a weak-minded person. Weak-minded person means not that he has to stand in the sun and then he has to spend days and nights doing some tapas in the hot sun. Not like that. That is not the strength. The strength lies in vichara. The strength lies in deliberation, contemplation. That is internally sorting out various cobwebs which are there in our own mind. All these avidya granthis, these knots in our mind, all these knots have to be broken. We should have clarity of thinking. So that is what it is. Upanishad Vakyas have to be taken. This Brahmakara Vritti has to arise. That Brahmakara Vritti has to stabilize. Not only it has to just come and go, it has to stabilize. That stabilization of Brahmakara Vritti. And then after some time that Vritti also drops off. The Vritti also drops off and then you remain as pure awareness. So this is the process. And all this is possible only when you have vairagya, only when you have done, only when you have gone through this mill of sadhana chatushtaya. Till unless you have unless you have come through that mill of sadhana chatushtaya, you cannot attain this by mere intellectual exercise. So that is the point. So nayam atma balahina labhya iti atharvane. Ataha, therefore, samartho hetuhu amrutatvam hi vindate iti. So this hetu, this reason given, that is amrutatvam hi vindate. So it is samartha hetuhu. This hetu, the cause, is something which is justified. Samartha means it is justified here. It is something which is quite appropriate, quite justified. So that is what it means. So now we have completed this fourth mantra, which is the most important mantra in this this Upanishad. Then we are going to the fifth mantra. Before that, Shankaracharya is giving a small avatarika. Kashta khalu sura nara tiryak pretadishu samsara dukkha bahuleshu prani nikayeshu janma jara marana rogadi sampraptihi ajnanat ataha. Okay, kashta khalu. Shankaracharya is pitying. Kashta khalu. Oh, how painful it is. Kashta means difficulty, you know. So here difficulty means pain. Kashta khalu. What? How painful it is for the human being to go through all these lives. And what sort of lives? Sometimes you may get a good life, sometimes you may get a human life, sometimes you may get an animal life, sometimes you may get the life of a ghost. So all these things are also there. So that is what he says. Kashta khalu sura nara tiryak pretadishu. It all depends on your karma phala. It all depends on your bank balance. That whether the bank balance, that punya balance is more, or say papa balance is more. So if the punya balance is quite a lot, you will get this sura janma. Sura means deva. So you are born as that again is Devaloka also is a janma only. Devaloka is something all people who do good deeds, they just go stay for some time and come back. So that is what at the level of religion Vedanta says. Sura, Nara, if the punya papa is almost equal, then you are born as a human being. Then again you are given a chance to do more punyam or attain Atma Jnana. So this is the picture. So we seem to have done equal punya earlier. So punyam and papam we have done equally in our earlier life. That is what it means. Sura, Nara, Tiryak. Tiryak means that which is, we are straight, isn't it? Our spine is straight. Tiryak means where the spine is horizontal. All these animals and birds, they are called Tiryak Jantus. That is something which is an inferior janma. That is it. Tiryak. Then Preta Dishu. Preta means something like a ghost or goblin. So all these things, they are also, that sort of existence also is there for some people. That sort of existence also will be there. Sura nara tiryak pretadishu samsara dukkha bahuleshu. So all this samsara dukkha is in plenty, is aplenty, let us say. It is aplenty in all these lives. Samsara dukkha bahuleshu prani nikayeshu. So this prani nikayeshu is the subject here. So this prani nikayeshu, in all these bodies of so many pranis. Nikaya here actually can mean two things. Nikaya, it can mean a body. Nikaya actually means an assemblage. Nikaya is something which is this chayana dhatu, the same chayanam, that is that dhatu is there. It is from that. Nikaya means an assemblage. That is even one body can be an assemblage, or a group of people, prani nikayeshu, in the hordes of people, in these groups of pranis. So that also we can take like that. But prani nikaya, prani body is much better. Prani nikayeshu, in all these bodies. What type of bodies? The divine, the human, the tiryak, that is the animal, then the preta, the ghosts and goblins, in all these bodies which are characterized by great samsara dukkha, which are characterized by the great pain called samsara. And then in all these things, why are they painful? Janma, Jara, Marana, Rogadi, Sampraptihi. then it is born. The moment it is born, it is growing, and then again it jara. Jara means geriatric, that grows old. Then marana, it dies. Then roga. In between there is all these diseases are there. So all these things, sampraptihi. Sampraptihi means all this happening. Sampraptihi, all this occurrence, because of what? Because of ajnana, because of ignorance, because the man is not trying to know his real nature. So you can avoid all these stupid things like all these janmas, all these prani nikayas, then again all this janma, jara, marana, roga, etc., all these things a person can avoid if he can attain this Atma Jnana. So that is why he says, the next mantra, let us read. Iha cheda vedid atha satyam asti. Avedit atha satyam asti. Atha satyam asti. Let us read again. Iha cheda vedid atha satyam asti. न चेदिहा वेदीन्महती विनष्टिः भूतेषु भूतेषु विचित्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति. Okay. So the division is like this. Let us divide these simple, very small words only. Too many are packed into one thing. Iha ched avedit. You have to break it as Iha chet avedit atha satyam asti. So that is the first line. Iha ched avedit. That avedit chet. You reverse those words. Iha ched avedit. Instead of ched avedit, you make it avedit chet. You reverse that order. Iha avedit chet. That is, iha means here. Here means what? In this human life. Because we know that human life is what is called the karma bhumi. I have been telling you even earlier on several occasions I told you the idea that India is karma bhumi is something which is a Puranic concept. It is in some Purana that, oh, India is a karma bhumi where you do this punya, you do so many things, all these karmas you do, it will give manifold result and whatnot. This is some Puranic statement, basically to extol just to praise that we are in a holy land. But then Upanishad is not meant for India only. And then when the Upanishadic rishis wrote that thing, or particularly that Puranic man wrote that Purana, India extended up to Afghanistan and beyond. Because that Afghanistan was a Gandhara Desha. According to our thing, it is Gandhara Desha. And Gandhari, the daughter of that Gandhara Desha, was married to Dhritarashtra, the king in Mahabharata. So Gandhara Desha was very much part and parcel of our own culture. And in Gandhara Desha only all our books, all our Sanskrit books were found during the British time. All the Buddhist works, not all, most of the Buddhist works were also discovered there in Gandhara Desha, that is Afghanistan. The Bamiyan Buddhas, which were Buddha statues which were destroyed by all these Talibans, they were there in Afghanistan. So Afghanistan is very much part of India earlier. So, which means Bharatavarsha, not India, Bharatavarsha. So if you say that Bharata Bhumi is Karma Bhumi, what about Afghanistan now? What about Pakistan now? And if Kashmir also goes away, what will happen to say Bharata Bhumi? Our Karma Bhumi will keep on shrinking, isn't it? So Karma Bhumi does not mean India. Karma Bhumi means the stage at which a human being can do karma. Bhumi does not mean land. Bhumi means a stage. You also refer to Saptavidha Yoga Bhumayah. There are Saptavidha Yoga Bhumis, we refer to that. That is 7 levels of yoga, stages of yoga. Saptavidha Yoga Bhumaya, so 7 levels in that thing. The very first level is Shubhecha. That is just a desire. Oh, let me read Gita. Let me go, let me see this. Let me see what is the Upanishad. So the very first desire is the first level. So like that it goes. So similarly, Karma Bhumi is the level, the stage at which a person can do some karma and then again make or mar his own life, make or mar his own future. He may become Brahma, or he may go to Swargaloka, or he may go to hell. So whatever it is his karma bhumi. So iha means you are referring to this manushya janma, this state of being a human. So where alone you can do karma. When you go to heaven, there is no possibility, because heaven is a place for enjoyment. Then again, this hell again is a place for some other thing. Then again, Tiriyak Jantu, etc. They are also there is no karma for them. So here, all good works have to be done, good deeds have to be done here, and also Atma Vichara has to be done here. Any good deed also can be done here, bad deed can be done here, Atma Vichara can be done here. And now, of course, we are not talking about Punya Karmas, we are talking about Atma Vichara. We are talking about only knowing of self. So, iha ched avedit. Iha avedit chet. If one has realized here, avedit. Avedit is past tense. Like abhut. Avedit. Avedit is actually with dhatu lung. That lung form. That is abhut. For bhu dhatu like abhut. Avedit. So, iha ched, iha avedit ched. Atha means then. Satyam asti. Satyam means, of course, Shankaracharya is giving 3-4 different meanings for Satyam. So, Satyam actually means you have attained, say, the fulfillment in this particular life. You have accomplished the mission in this life. So, the mission of a human life is to realize oneself. The goal, the ultimate goal, the final goal of a human being is to know himself. So, atha satyam asti. So, once you know this, once you know your own self, then you have accomplished the human goal here itself. Iha avedi ched atha satyam asti. Then you have fulfilled the mission of life. You have achieved fulfillment. Then na ched iha avedit. Na chet iha avedit. Iha here, na avedit chet. This chet you take it later. If one has not realized here, so this avedit is in third person. It is not in first person or second person, it is in third person. If one has realized here, he has attained fulfillment. If one has not attained here, he has not attained fulfillment. On the other hand, mahati vinashtihi. Vinashti means loss. Mahati vinashti. A mighty loss. It is a mighty loss for him. If he has not attained here, that is, if he has not attained that Atma Jnana here, it is a mighty loss for him. Then, bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha. So, dhiraha, we also know this word dhiraha. What is dhira? We come across this word several times in Gita Bhashya and also Kenopanishad particularly. Kasyid dhiraha, pratyagatma, namaikshat, etc. etc. Dhira means, dhi means buddhi vritti. Dhiyam rati iti dhiraha. Dhiyam buddhivrittim rati grunhati iti dhiraha. That is, one who is capable of restraining that buddhivritti. One who is capable of knowing the nature of that buddhivritti. Buddhivrittim grunhati means buddhivrittim he understands. One who understands the nature of his buddhivritti, he is a dhira. What is this understanding the nature of buddhivritti? The same thing, pratibodha viditam. Pratibodha viditam, that is pratibodha pratyagatmataya viditam. So he knows the very nature of every vritti, the underlying, what is underlying every vritti he knows. So he is a dhira. So what do these dhiras do? Bhuteshu vichitya. That is, in all things, in all bhuta, bhuta means on all beings, that is stavara jangama. Shankaracharya is going to say, both sentient, insentient, in all the things, whatever appears in this universe, in all these things, vichitya, having found. Having found means having realized. Vichitya, having realized. Having realized what? Having realized this Brahman, having realized this Atman. In everything you are seeing Atman only. In the whole universe you are seeing this Atman only. So bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha. These dhiraha, the people who are wise, the people who are able to see the real nature of this buddhi vritti. Dhi is buddhi vritti. Dhiyam rati grunhati iti dhiraha, as I said. That is one who knows the nature, the very essence, the underlying self of every dhi vritti is a dhira. So those people, what happens to them? Pretya asmal lokat amruta bhavanti. Of course, there is a physical, say, falling of the body. Pretya means pra plus itya, pretya, that is having departed from this pra plus, pretya. Asmat lokat, from this loka, asmat lokat pretya, having departed from this, say, world, that is from this human world, and then that means after the fall of the body. For the body-mind complex, there is a death, but not for the Atma. Then asmal lokat amruta bhavanti, that is they become immortal. So that is they attain deathlessness. So that is the thing we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.